The Lightning and Panthers might not have the same playoff implications as we'd hoped, but it's still an important game for the Bolts to play towards the end of their season. Also, who do you think is the Lightning team MVP in 2025?
You're Locked On Lightning, your daily podcast on the Tampa Bay Lightning, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I'm Josh Sperber, thanking all of you for making Locked On Lightning your first listen every day. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And if your team is the Tampa Bay Lightning, then this is the show for you. The Florida Panthers last night lost to the New York Rangers, and now the Tampa Bay Lightning get their home finale against the Panthers, Battle of Florida. It's the Panthers' last game of the regular season. The Lightning have 100 points. The Panthers have 98 points, and the Lightning have one more game to play after Tuesday. So the Tampa Bay Lightning will not only take second place in the Atlantic Division, they will play the Florida Panthers in the first round of the postseason, more than likely. I don't think that the Senators can catch up to them even with the tiebreak. And also, but the Lightning still have some things to play for. Them and the Hurricanes for that third overall spot in the Eastern Conference. And, of course, the Lightning with a very slim chance of taking the Atlantic Division. So the Bolts still have plenty to play for. The Panthers are expected to rest some starters. But I think regardless of who's resting, even if the Lightning want to rest some guys for the next two games, which I don't think would be a bad idea, the next two games for the Rangers on Thursday, that has no bearing on the postseason. And then Lightning Panthers will not affect the postseason. It seems very likely that the Lightning will play Florida. However, the Panthers could secure a date with the Lightning in the first round if they win or Ottawa loses their next game. So there's still some playoff scenarios that could be changing, but it's not going to be a battle for the second spot. The Lightning have that secured, so a little bit more comfort. I think that should definitely help because, unsurprisingly, this is a series that we have seen three completely different games. Other than the home and home, you're at two different times of the season when they're playing each other. The Lightning overall still have the goal differential advantage of +1 over the three games, with a 4-0 shutout in the Lightning's only win being the big difference there. So, I mean, you've seen both sides of it. You've seen the Panthers stack up the two wins. You've seen the Lightning score the most goals. And now they're hoping to even up the series at least record-wise and set up what I think would be an absolutely epic first-round matchup. Regardless of the fact that the Panthers are a little bit banged up right now, the Lightning are a little bit banged up right now. The lines, especially in the attack side with Tampa, are very fluid with Luke Glendening's injury. The Panthers have Matt Tkachuk injured, among other players. I mean, key guys are out for both sides, so I think we're definitely going to be some resting, but I think this would be a really good opportunity for the Tampa Bay Lightning to tinker with some things. I'd be pretty surprised if we saw the conventional 12-on-6 as opposed to the 11-7. But I think that it's a good chance for the Lightning to be able to strategize and just see what works and what doesn't. Obviously, you're going to see some of the Lightning starters. I think the main reason that Andrei Vasilevskiy was in net or was not in net for the Lightning's win against Buffalo was to rest him for this game against Florida, regardless, I think, of what happened in the Florida Panthers versus New York Rangers game. I think that was going to be inevitable. I bet Johansson's going to be the goalie against the Rangers on Thursday. But having Vasilevskiy in net will be good. It likely will not be Bobrovsky. it'll likely be somebody else's. I'd imagine the Panthers are going to rest Bobrovsky for the playoffs. He was also in net against the New York Rangers in that 5-3 loss that the Panthers took. So I'd be surprised if the Lightning saw him again. But these are two teams that know each other very well, that know how important this game is, how important this rivalry has become to their division, and to the state of Florida in terms of growing the game of hockey in a summer state, in a hot weather state where it's 70 plus pretty much year round. And the Panthers really missed a big opportunity to set up an important game against the Tampa Bay Lightning. They gave it away in that third period, that Trocheck shorthanded goal within the first 4 minutes. And it was even before that. Matt Rempe getting a goal, which is a rare thing to see. The Panthers took a 3-1 lead. The Rangers scored the next 4 goals and won the game. And that's something that you really like to see if you're a Tampa Bay Lightning fan, because the Panthers are not playing their best hockey right now, whether it's because guys are injured, whether they're feeling the pressure of going back to back, which is something that hasn't been done in the NHL in a long time. You know why I said that? Yeah. But anyway, so it's not easy to do. And the Lightning obviously are going to do whatever they can to prevent that, especially since the Panthers are one of the first teams the Lightning were one of the first teams the Panthers had to go through last year. So I'm sure last year's series is fresh on both of these guys' minds. But I think what we're going to see, regardless of the fact that there might be some guys rested, we might see both coaches being a little bit more cautious with some of their star players, given the team's injury histories going down, going down the end of the season, the stretch we're on. The Lightning having to get some guys like Connor Geekie up from the AHL to fill out their roster just because of a late injury. Panthers doing some similar things. They had some trade deadline movement, everything like that. I mean, this is a game that, regardless of who's on the ice, this should be treated like a playoff game, even if it's the Panthers playing their fourth line guys as their first line guys and resting your Sam Reinharts, your Barkovs, your Verhaeghes, your Bennetts. I mean, and the Lightning could do the same thing. I'd imagine that this is going to be a game where the Lightning really kind of give it their all. I think a victory here and a Hurricanes loss makes Tampa Bay the best non-division winner in the Eastern Conference, which is obviously something that they're trying to get. But the Lightning have really exceeded expectations, I think, over the course of this season. And they have a really nice opportunity to put a cherry on top by essentially finishing the season against their rivals. And even the Rangers, a team that are out of the playoffs, has been a frequent matchup with Tampa Bay in the postseason. So, I mean, these are two teams coming up that I think the Lightning really need to just snap into focus. We've heard some of the players, some of the coaches talk about how this isn't like Lightning hockey in specific instances over the last couple of games. Definitely some parts of the Sabres game. Certainly those 2 home losses that the Lightning had to start their final homestand of the season. If there's any game to get a team back on track, it's a game against your rivals that can solidify your standing in the postseason and keep the Lightning climbing. I mean, if you told me at the beginning of the season the Lightning would finish as the 3rd best team in the Eastern Conference, I would have been shocked. I didn't think the Lightning were a playoff lock, as you can really say that they've been since the Four Nations break. I think that 4-game win streak heading into Four Nations and then continuing that for another 4 games after Four Nations really solidified the Lightning's playoff standing. From that point on, it was really a matter of when and not if the Lightning were going to make the postseason. And now they have, and there's a very good chance they're going to start things off against their rival. And, Florida resting guys, Lightning resting guys, whatever. This is a playoff game, and it has to be treated as such. This can really set the tone for a series that I think could be a very epic one in another year of the first round battle of Florida. I know I'm excited to see it. And something else I'm excited to see is Nikita Kucherov back in the lineup. Always something good. And with Nathan MacKinnon having completed his schedule, the Colorado Avalanche are the first team in the NHL actually to reach all 82 games played. Nathan MacKinnon is at 116 points, which means Nikita Kucherov has unofficially but essentially locked up the Hart Trophy unless Leon Draisaitl can put up 13 more points for the Edmonton Oilers in 2 games. So I think it's safe to say that. I have been campaigning for Kucherov getting a Hart Trophy for the entire season. Let's say he does do that. Does that put him in the greatest of all time conversation at just over 800 career games? Looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help you keep feeling fuller longer. Personally, I love the no shells variety. It's the perfect grab-and-go snack for busy days, whether I'm snacking at my desk, on a road trip, or just need a quick protein boost. They're always my go-to. But if you love cracking open every shell for that satisfying crunch, the in-shell options are a classic favorite. Get snackin' and get crackin' with a snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. That's wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. Seems like we're always talking about Nikita Kucherov, which is fair. 119 points this season, his 3rd straight year of 100-plus points, also his 3rd straight year of over 80 assists, a feat that only 2 other players have been able to accomplish over their NHL careers, one of them being Wayne Gretzky, who did it 12 or 13 consecutive seasons. And Nikita Kucherov has 992 points in 801 career games. He has already stacked back-to-back 4-point games together over the course of this season, and it was relatively recently in March. So if Kucherov gets 8 points in the next 2 games, he'll finish this season with 1,000 career points in his career. He is the 2nd highest point scorer in NHL history through their first 800 games, with Sidney Crosby being the only higher point scorer than Nikita Kucherov. And there is also a very small list of players that have won the Hart Trophy and the Hart Trophy in the same season. Wayne Gretzky, Guy Lafleur, Henrik Sedin, Connor Ovechkin, Connor McDavid, Bobby Orr, some of the all-time great players. And if that does happen for Nikita Kucherov, I think it puts him in the greatest of all time conversation. I think that even without that, that's something that you need to just get started. I mean, you look at the full seasons that Kucherov has played after his first 4 seasons in the league. So since 2017, Nikita Kucherov has played 7 seasons. In 2019-2020, he had 85 points through 60 games before the season shut down. In 2021-22, he played 47 games and had 69 points. Other than that, triple digits. 80 games, 100 points in 17 and 18. 18-19, it was 128 points in almost the same amount of time in 82 games. Then the next 2 seasons, he missed some pretty significant time due to injury, and his point totals dropped from 85 and 69. But in the last 3 seasons, Nikita Kucherov, in each one of them, has put up over 100 points. 113 and 22-23, 144 last year, career high Lightning record. This year, 119, likely to be his 2nd consecutive Hart Trophy second consecutive Art Ross Trophy and third overall Art Ross Trophy. And it will also be the second time that he won the Hart and the Art Ross in the same season, 2018, 2019. Cooch won them both with those 128 points. And you look at that list, not a lot of people have done that multiple times. I mean, Wayne Gretzky is really the only one who has done that in multiple times in multiple seasons. And we might see it again with Nikita Kucherov. I think if we do, there's no question in my mind that he belongs in the greatest of all time debate. I think right now you can certainly make that argument. I mean, I'll say it again all year. Nikita Kucherov, just the more you watch him, the more you just think that he's the best player to ever do it. I mean, he just looks so smooth on the ice. It's unbelievable. And he's doing everything so efficiently on the power play during just whenever he is on the ice, he is the guy that you focus on. He is the guy that if you shut down, the Lightning really are in some trouble. And he is the kind of guy that you just need to know where he is at all times. I mean, that's something the Lightning players say. I'm sure that you talk to anyone who's defended Nikita Kucherov in his career, they'll be able to tell you the same thing too. Right now, I think it's been established over the last couple of seasons that Kucherov is one of the best in the league. At his best, he helped lead the Lightning to back-to-back Stanley Cup champions while serving as one of the top scorers in the league throughout that time. I mean, that 2018-19 season, Art Ross Trophy, Hart Trophy, Ted Lindsay Award. I mean, the list goes on with his accolades. We can keep listing those, but I mean, it's just so rare to see someone put up the amount of points that he does so consistently, and not even when shooting all that much. There are definitely guys that have shot significantly more times than 259 over the course of the season, like Nikita Kucherov has. I think he definitely will shoot more than average, but not a crazy. It's not like he's a volume shooter. It's not like he scores so much, he gets on the board so much just because, most of his assists are coming off of missed shots. Most of his assists are just coming off of Kucherov being the guy to start pretty much any offense when it comes to Tampa Bay, whether it's Kucherov skating towards the net, seeing an open man, flying in with him, and just hitting him perfectly in stride, tape to tape, or whether it's Kucherov from the other end of the ice sending an inch-perfect pass up the entire rink, magically finding someone's stick for an easy lane with a red carpet on the bottom towards the goal. I mean, those are the kind of passes that you see on a regular basis from Nikita Kucherov. And passing-wise, I don't see anyone else that can do what he does. And I don't think there's an offensive player in this league that's as balanced as Nikita Kucherov. I mean, you can talk about the speed of Connor McDavid and his goal-scoring ability. Obviously, Ovechkin can be considered the greatest goal scorer of all time, and I think he is. But Nikita Kucherov can just do everything on the offensive side so well. And he's not an elite defender, but he's a very good defender and a very capable defender. I mean, a lot of guys that are at his superstar level can get away with just kind of sagging off on defense. And Kucherov does not do that. He's always playing hard. He is so smart and knows when to put in his stick checks. The penalties he gets aren't usually the careless tripping calls or anything like that. He's smart with his checks, and we've seen time and time again Kucherov having a hand in a takeaway that leads to either a goal or assist of his own on the immediate breakaway after. He's just a gamer, a winner, and in my opinion, a no-brainer for the Hart Trophy. I just don't think there's anyone else. I mean, with Steven Stamkos leaving, a new captain this year, I think, I said at the beginning of the year that if Kucherov can lead the Lightning to the playoffs, if Kucherov can have another big 100-point season, maybe lead the Lightning to the playoffs, he'd win the Hart Trophy. It's good enough for me. Just give him the trophy now. Hart Trophy and Art Ross for Nikita Kucherov. Might not want to call him the greatest of all time yet, but I think there is a very real chance that by the time Nikita Kucherov hands up his skates hangs up his skates, he will be known as the greatest hockey player to ever play the game. And I do think, though, he might be the NHL's MVP and the Hart Trophy winner. I don't think he's the Lightning MVP. I'm going to tell you who is next. Scaling your business requires the right expertise at the right time. With Upwork, you can find specialized freelancers in marketing, development, design, and more. Experts ready to help you take your business to the next level. Upwork gives businesses flexibility by connecting them with top freelance talent across multiple industries, including IT, AI, web development, and marketing. Whether you need extra hands for a project or a long-term partner, Upwork makes hiring simple and affordable. If you need help with a marketing campaign, Upwork can connect you with a freelance expert who delivered incredible results. Posting a job is free and simple, and within a day, with multiple qualified candidates to choose from. Instead of hiring full-time, Upwork helps find affordable top-tier freelancers to scale businesses effectively. So visit Upwork.com and post your job for free right now. That's UPWORK.com, Upwork.com, to connect with top-tier talent and grow your business today. So we've talked about who I think the NHL MVP should be. I believe that Nikita Kucherov is the most deserving player for the Hart Trophy. However, if we look at the team MVP, I don't think that was Nikita Kucherov on the Tampa Bay Lightning. My vote for that is the Lightning's 2025 nominee for the Masterson Trophy, Ryan McDonagh, alternate captain, rejoining the Lightning after 2 years away in Nashville, a move that he did not want to make, but a move that he had to make because of the Lightning's lack of cap space this season. He has over 30 points, is in the top 3 in the NHL with a plus 42 plus-minus rating. And so many of his impacts on the Lightning games are just not adequately measured by statistics. It's just seeing how McDonagh relates with the other players. It's hearing what the other players and what the coaches say about Ryan McDonagh. And, I mean, aside from the fact that I haven't heard a darn thing that's just anything negative about McDonagh, he's a guy who's 35 years old, scoring 30 points in the season, something that is not all that common for most defensemen, but something that McDonagh does regularly, including each of the last 2 seasons and the majority of his almost 15 years in the entire NHL. And every single one of those 15 years, he has been a leader. He has been an elite defensive player. And he has just been a great guy to have in the locker room, a guy that the players are all going to listen to and respect no matter what. And just his defensive ability alone, I think, is enough to show why he is the most valuable player on the Lightning. He's never had a season in the negatives in terms of his plus-minus. Always efficient. His line always produces more goals in terms of goals that they give up. Defensively, he's one of the best defensemen in the league. In his climb to his 1,000th career game, he also moved into shot blocking royalty in the NHL. Now, among active players, McDonagh is 5th among all-time NHL players. He is tied with Duncan Keith at 7th all-time, likely to move into 7th and past Duncan Keith in this next game. And if he plays 1, maybe 2 more seasons, outlasting guys like John Carlson, Alex Pietrangelo, and Ryan Suter, who are ahead of him, as well as Mark-Edward Vlasic, I think he could end up the shot block leader in his NHL career. He's always the kind of guy who's willing to lay it down for his team, who's always going to put team before self. And not saying that other guys on the Lightning don't do that. Certainly you can argue that about Nikita Kucherov, Brandon Hagel, anybody. But the way McDonough has done it, I think especially just coming back to the Lightning where he really wanted to be, and the timing that he came back to Tampa with Stamkos leaving, new captain change, he just helped provide a little bit of extra stability and calmness among the Tampa Bay Lightning players that might not have happened without him there. It might have been a completely different season moving on from a legend without Ryan McDonough. And I think he's certainly the guy that I would pick for the Masterson Trophy without a question in my mind. I think he's well deserving. I mean, heap all the awards on him. Even head coach John Cooper mentioned that there should just be another award for top defenseman because of guys like Ryan McDonough, because he's a guy that you just always want on your team. And maybe he isn't going to be one of the Norris nominees or finalists or whatever it is, but the Lightning really needed a big defensive presence on their team this year. They not only lost a franchise legend in Steven Stamkos, but they lost a key defender in Mikhail Sergachev. And the offensive production, McDonough is not going to provide the same kind of punch that Sergei does on the offensive side of things. But defensively, he makes up for it and just turns it into offense really quick. I mean, even if you look at, McDonough might not have the most assists among Lightning players or even Lightning defenders. His 27 apples on the season are good for 8th on the team. But I bet if you look closely at a lot of plays over the course of the Lightning season, if there were a tertiary assist, McDonough would have him. Him or Hedman, it just always seems they're the two guys that are starting the break with a nice pass from defense. It's one of those two guys or Kucherov. But McDonough is so good at turning defense into offense lightning quick. And if he goes and takes it up himself, it means that he's probably going to score or get a quick assist because he's just an intelligent hockey player who knows the right times to rush and always knows the right times to stay back. And he's 35 years old. You see a lot of players at his age slow down a little bit, take fewer shifts, get dropped by certain teams, but McDonough is always going to be a guy that's coveted by an NHL team. I mean, he's always a guy who is going to be giving 110%, and he'll turn around and be completely honest with the media afterwards without saying anything too pointed or anything like that. I mean, he's just one of the ultimate team players, a fantastic leader, and a good person to have in the locker room on and off the ice. And I think that without Ryan McDonough, the Lightning might still be a playoff team. That's a maybe. I don't think they'd be a 100-point team without Ryan McDonough. I don't think that they would have home ice advantage throughout in the first round without Ryan McDonough. I think that his defensive ability, his leadership ability, and even what he brings to the table offensively are just too important to the Lightning's success. They really help form an identity of this Lightning team that's more than just we're going to score more goals than you. There can be games that they can beat them on defense as well. You've got the best goalie in the world in the net. You need some solid defenders. You need some hard-nosed guys that are willing to dive on the ice to block pucks, get in front of shots, knock people over, whatever. And Ryan McDonough exemplifies that. He leads by example on and off the ice, and I think he should win the Masterson Trophy. I think he's definitely the Lightning team MVP. I think that, you can call Kucherov the best player on the Lightning. I'm certainly not going to argue with you, but I think that Kucherov's points could have been spread around some other Lightning players. Hagel could step up. Point could step up. I mean, there's plenty of offensive talent to not completely replace a guy like Nikita Kucherov, but there's enough offensive talent around him to keep that offense humming without Kuch in the game. The Lightning are fortunate that through the first 80 games of the season, Ryan McDonough's played every single one of them. They don't even know how they play without him. And I think that is something that Lightning fans will not want to learn, how differently that goes without Ryan McDonough, because there are 3 players this season who have played 80 games. Ryan McDonough is the only 30-year-old with Zemgus Girgensons just turned 31 this year. McDonough's 35, Hagel's 27, and Girgensons plays less than 15 minutes a game for Tampa Bay. There's a very clear distinction of roles in terms of those 3 players. McDonough's the oldest, maybe in the league, to play all 80 games. Definitely the oldest on the Lightning to play all 80 games this season. And I don't think that even if he misses one of them, the Lightning have the same level of success that they have without Ryan McDonough. So if I'm picking a team MVP for Tampa, I'm picking the Mack truck, Ryan McDonough. And we'll see what he does against the Florida Panthers tonight. We'll have a recap of that on tomorrow's show. Until then, I'm Josh Sperber, thanking all of you for making Locked On Lightning your first listen every day. Now for your second listen, check out all the new Locked On NHL Game Night. For every game, every night until a Stanley Cup champion is crowned, get local analysis on a national scale. Find NHL Game Night on Locked On NHL on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. And please do the same with us. Wherever you found this podcast, please give us a like, a follow, subscribe. We really do appreciate your guys' help and support in keeping this podcast out there. So thanks again for listening. I'm Josh Sperber, and have a great start to your week, and go Bolts.